Hey everybody, it's John here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Yesterday Origins, grabbing the Dungeon Master achievement. This is to interact with every single hotspot and item in the prologue. Starting off, you're going to be in this cell right here. You want to interact with this light, and a dead body should drop down. Examine the dead body, and then what you want to do is you want to look for all the hotspots, which are all the places on these things that you can interact with. So first one you want to get is the rope itself, which is very missable. Then you want to get the guy's nose. So do that, and then we are going to get the guy's neck, and then the one you want to do for last is going to be the rope's knot. The reason for that is once you interact with the knot, the rope will untie and you will miss all these interactions right here. And if you miss one, you will have to start back from the beginning, or you have to load from the chapter select. So once he's untied, what you want to do is you want to examine the rope again. It will count as a different hotspot that time. Then re-examine the dead body, and then once again you want to get his face, his neck, this scroll on his chest, and these patches on his shirt, and then finally his pocket pouch, which should give you the frog. So that should be your first two items you pick up, and you also have to interact with those while they're in your inventory. So you should also get the clothes, which is going to be one of your right trigger items, which aren't physical items, however they are items like clues. So what you want to do is you want to hold right trigger, and then you want to hit A over your clue, which is going to be clothes right there, and you will get the little snapshot photo of it. Then hold left trigger, and then do the same thing with your actual physical inventory items. So examine the frog and then examine the scroll. You'll get a little text box every time, and that's how you know you get the count towards the achievement. Some items have additional interactions. For example, the scroll has a tie, so make sure you untie that, and then inside is going to be the lockpick you need. So once you have that, make sure you hit B to close it out, and then you need to examine the letter. Now that it's open, it will have a different text box, and you want to examine the lockpick. You have to do this for all the items, even ones that don't have any text boxes. So every time you get a new item, you want to make sure you examine it and get the count towards the achievement. Alright, next up, hit the Y button. This will activate self-portrait mode, which means you can examine yourself for hotspots. First one is going to be your face. Make sure you turn and look at your left cheek. Scroll down. Your right arm should have a torn sleeve, as well as your forearm, and those two count. Then you want to turn and then do your opposite arm. You want to look at your hand, and that will be number 4. And then number 5 is going to be your knee, and you just want to scroll down, look at your ripped pants. And then the final one is going to be the shackle, which is going to be on your ankle. So make sure you look at that. After that, you can use the lockpick that we got from the letter to pick the shackle. And then what you want to do is once it closes out, you want to hit the Y button again to bring back up the self-examination. And this time you want to examine your ankle without the shackle, and that will count as a different one. Alright, then what you want to do is, now that we're free, we can walk around the cell. You want to head down and you want to examine the pig. He'll have 3 hotspots on him, so make sure you hit A. You want to look at his face, his stomach, and then his shackle, which will be on his leg. You use the right stick to move around in these little sub windows, so use that and don't get confused too bad by the controls. Once that's done, you want to examine this item right here, and then you want to pick it up. So you have to examine it once while it's out, then you have to pick it up, and then you have to examine it when it's in your inventory. So once you pick it up, you want to hold left trigger, and then you want to examine it in your inventory, and then you could move it around. This one doesn't have any special secondary interactions. Pick up the iron bar, same thing, pick it up, and then once you put it in your inventory, hold left trigger, and then re-examine it. Examine the gallows, which is going to be this wooden plank off to the right with the 2 holes cut out, and this one you can't pick up. After that, we are going to go up to the shelf right here and then hit A. There's going to be 5 things you can interact with here. So you want to zoom all the way to the left side, and you want to look at the dry blood. Then what you want to do is you want to look at the mug. You should pick that up and add it to your inventory. Make sure you interact with it later on. You have the pentagram. Make sure you look at this thing twice because it has 2 different boxes, and I believe that counts as 2 different entries. And then the final one is going to be this rag right here, which you do add to your inventory. So once you have all those, you want to open up your inventory. You want to examine the mug, which has a secondary examination. So look at the marks on it, and then you'll get that. And then finally examine the rag, and then you'll be done with the shelf. Alright, last thing in the cell is going to be the cauldron right here. Make sure you look at it, and this thing just has 3 parts to it. Look at the fire, the side of the cauldron, and then inside the cauldron. Alright, now that we're done in here, you want to head towards the door, and then you want to look at the outside of the jail cell. First thing should be the skull, which is going to be right next to your cell. Look at the Iron Maiden, which is the coffin with the spikes in it, right here. Look at the Inquisition banner up top. Look in the doorway, and then look at the barrel. Keep in mind the barrel does have a second achievement to it if you interact with it using the mug. So look at that, and then the final thing you want to look at in this room is going to be the actual jailer. Just hit A, you should examine him, and then what you want to do is you want to hit Y to do a secondary examination. And this guy has some third examinations on him. So you have his face, his stomach, his belt, and then his 2 arms. So get all those, and then you should be done with him. Alright, once you're done looking at him, all you have to do is just talk to him and then go through every single conversation choice until each of them has a check mark. Once you're done with that, you should get 2 more clues, which are your right trigger items. Make sure you examine them by holding right trigger and then hitting A over them. It should be skeptic and blood in case you're keeping track. Once that's done, what you want to do is you want to pull out the mug, and then you want to combine it with the toad we got from the dead guy's pocket. This should make the poisoned mug, which we need for the main story. The clue you need to mix it is going to be the skeptic clue, and that should give you the poison mug. Make sure after you complete it, you want to examine it, and then you want to look at the top. This thing does have a secondary examination, so make sure you get that. And that's actually where I popped the achievement. However, there are a few more, so the achievement could pop early or later because it's kind of glitchy. It's going to be for 30 gamer score, but on to the stuff that we missed. Alright, go back inside, and then you want to do the thing where you stick the metal rod into the embers to get it hot. Before you go poke the pig with it, you want to make sure you examine it. Then you're going to do the thing where you poke the pig with it, and then you have to swap out the 2 mugs. Pretty sure you know how to do this since it's part of the story. Swap out the mugs. And once you get to the new mug, what you want to do is you want to examine it, and your character will notice that it smells like beer or something, and this one doesn't have any secondary examinations. And the last one is after you get the bloody rag by doing this puzzle that I'm not going to spoil, just want to examine it, and then before you finish the level, that should be the last one. Hopefully you get your achievement, and that's all there is to it.